All right, joining us is Faouzia, a good old Manitoban artist, although coming from Los Angeles, is that right?
Yes, Los Angeles, California.
Nice. Nice. So it's not exactly, well, actually, no, we got decent weather here in Manitoba, so it's not like you're escaping much this time
I'm
around.
not gonna lie, I'm kind of jealous. I hear that the fall's kicking in and it's my favorite season, and all my friends are telling me about it, and I'm like, kind of wish I was in Winnipeg right now, not gonna lie.
And you're missing one of the best ones, because normally we get, you know how it is. You get like frost, and then all of a sudden,
Yeah.
everything comes down really quickly, but we're just like slowly fading into fall, so everything's turning colors nice and slow. We can actually enjoy it. It's just not common
that's
here.
the best.
And you've been all over the place, because I understand you were also in New York just a bit ago for Fashion Week?
Yeah, I was in New York for Fashion Week, and it was such a crazy experience. It was so much fun. I'm obsessed with beauty and fashion, and so it was really, really cool to dip my toes in that world.
I saw some of the photos from Fashion Week. I was just perusing Instagram there, and my favorite is the big green cape thing that you were wearing.
Yeah. It kind of gave like Grinch vibes, but like glamorous Grinch vibes.
See, I was thinking like that's a shout out to your Manitoban past with like a ghillie suit, like almost like you're gonna go hunting or something, except
Oh my God.
in Fashion Week, you know.
I've actually never been hunting.
I haven't either. I just know, Carmen, Manitoba isn't exactly, it's not the New York metropolitan area, and there's a lot of hunting that goes on.
For sure,
in the
it
area.
definitely is not.
Faouzia, of course, recently released Hero, which we've been playing quite a lot here across our stations on Golden West. Huge fan of your work. Obviously, we've played some of your music in the past, but now this one, I mean, this is a whole new level.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And thank you for playing it.
Tell me a little bit about the song itself, and just kind of how we got here.
I wrote this song not that long ago. This was quite a quick turnaround compared to other songs that I've written. And I wrote it back in the wintertime and it came out in the summer. So it was like less than half a year turnaround. And I spent so much time inside this year and with a lot of time with myself, so I got to learn how to appreciate spending time with myself and loving that time alone. And I to the point where I didn't want to be surrounded with people that I knew weren't good for me and weren't good in my life, and that was totally fine because I knew how to be alone. And so I wrote a song about this, and it's kind of just saying, if somebody's going to be in my life, if I'm going to accept you in my life, then I want to make sure that you're going to be there for me and truly have the best intentions, because I know that that's what I'm going to have for you.
Tell me about the music video, because I've watched it a few times and the style is so cool. Tell me about the video game side of things. Like, what's the inspiration behind that?
So I got a bunch of treatments back, and Ariel sent a really cool treatment with like all the elements that was inspired by Avatar. And the song is called Hero. So we were thinking, we started brainstorming and we're like, what if each element was like a level that you had to be? And we wanted to make it very fun and youthful and showcase like my personality, because a lot of the songs that I write are a lot more like sad and somber. So we're like, come on, like let's run with this one for a bit. And so that's what we did. And we included lots of colors, a lot of makeup looks, a lot of hair looks, and we had a lot of fun with it. And I'm so happy with how it turned out.
I love that. Make it fun and youthful, because I mean, you're not youthful enough, right?
If I was your hero, would you be mine? I know this ain't a fairy tale, this is real life.
The pigtails in the music video.
That's my favorite look.
Is it your hair? I know you've got super long dark hair. Is that it, or is it?
So this is my hair. Like it's quite long. It's like, I think almost to my hip, but it's not that long. Like those pigtails were far off. Like it was a lot of extensions. Like it was not my hair, but it was really fun.
They're amazing. They're like the Loki horns. Like they're just huge. I understand, in addition to Fashion Week, you were able to watch Leila Fernandez play. That's got to be cool.
Oh,
What a story.
Such a great game. It was such a great game. And like everyone, you know, they were rooting for their person, whoever it was. But I think that everyone can say, like, at the end of that game, at the end of the match, you're like, just respect for both of them. Oh. It was so good. Like, whoever won, you're like, they deserved it. Like, it was such a good match.
And I feel like that's how we should always look at athletes, because no matter how bad they're playing, they're all way better than us.
Like, extremely.
So I think that's probably not a bad way to go.
Like, way, way better.
Faouzia, you've worked with, over the last few years, you've worked with some pretty incredible artists. I mean, John Legend, Kelly Clarkson, Charlie Puth, Galantis even. Which one of those is your favorite that you had working with? Like, what was an experience that was like, that one was it?
I'm telling you, literally all of them were so great. It's so hard to pick which one's my favorite. I feel like they were all such important points in my career. I will say, like, Minefields definitely had it was such a great impact in Europe, in Canada, and like now it's starting to have a moment in Asia. And I feel like that song continues to live on in different parts of the world, which I find very interesting. And I think that's very special, and that's something I'm always going to hold like near and dear to my heart. I had my first #1 on the radio with that song in France, and so I think that one is going to be something that I'm going to remember forever, but all of them will really be special to me.
Ooh, these minefields that I walk through. Ooh, what I risk to be close to you.
How would you describe working with John Legend? I know I've seen the video, him at the keys, you singing right next to him. Is it fun? Is it stressful, nerve-wracking?
He was so chill. Like, I feel like it would have been stressful and nerve-wracking if, you know, he was weird or like, not weird, but like, like stern. But he wasn't. He was just so chill. Like, he was so kind, so humble. And like, we talked about like Moroccan food. We talked about like Morocco and all these things that we had in common. And it was so chill. Like, he made it like so chill.
I love that. And I want to know how those things get started. Is it like a text message?
It's always an idea. It's just like you say something in a room and then somebody else in the room is like, you know what? Let's try to make that happen. And then 2 weeks later, you get a song back and John Legend's voice is on and you're like, what is going on? Like, it just proves that don't ever like leave any ideas left unsaid. And no matter how crazy they may sound, you never know. Like, it might just happen.
Well, and like the worst is no, right? I mean, you can reach out.
Exactly.
It's not that big a deal. Okay, so I've been watching some of your old interviews. So let's start with your engineering degree, because I know that was a thing that you were working on. Where's that at?
Still in it.
You're still in it.
Still in the thick of it. I feel like right now I'm like really immersed in it, and I'm taking it, you know, one semester at a time and figuring out. But I'm still in computer engineering at the U of M.
So you are doing classes right now then?
Not this semester, just because of everything opening back up and like being here and there. But definitely still in it. Well,
in the last couple of years, last year with everything being online, it probably kind of was a benefit in a weird way for you?
It was definitely a lot easier to get things done, because being online for music and school, it was kind of like you log into one Zoom link and then you do what you have to do, and then you log into the other one and then you're in the same spot. You don't have to travel anywhere. So it was definitely a benefit. I got to balance it a lot easier for sure.
In reading some of the old interviews of yours over the years, what I think is really cool, because we don't get this very often in Manitoba, that I'm able to talk to an artist that we play here, and just to be able to hear about like Festival de Voyageur and being able to hear about Winnipeg Folk Fest and all those things. Do you spend any time in Manitoba these days? I mean, I wouldn't blame you for moving to LA. I honestly wouldn't. But are you ever around?
I actually did move to LA. I'm still in Manitoba.
Okay. You are still in Manitoba.
You will find me in Manitoba as much as I can be. I love being there, and I love being with my family. I love just driving around and like driving on Pembina, or like just like literally there's something so peaceful about Winnipeg, and I love being there, and my whole family's there, so it definitely is home for me. And Carmen, Manitoba is home for me, and so you'll find me there as much as I can be. And I'm looking forward to going back now.
Oh, you are on your way. Okay, fair. Cool. I mean, I love to hear that. Of course, we're like the underdog, so we're like, yeah, still in Manitoba.
100%.
Now, this is, I know that your sister and you guys used to perform together back in the day, and I know that still part of your management team, I understand. Is that correct?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, she's managing me as well as another manager, but she's been my manager since day one.
Do you guys still sing together?
Sometimes as a joke, but like she refuses to like sing with me, and I'm like, come on, sing with me, and she just refuses. She's like, no, like I don't sound good, like I don't want to sing, and I'm like, yes you do, like stop this. But she does an amazing job at managing, and you know, like she's the best. So
you gotta suck her into just one track in the future.
I know. I'm like, just for my birthday, anything, like can you sing with me for anything? And she's like, absolutely not gonna like post anything online. Like, no.
So these last year and a half now, we've obviously not really been able to do much for live performances. Do you have stuff coming up in the future? Are you starting to get back into that?
I actually am. I'm performing at Oshiega in Montreal in 2 weeks.
Oh, cool.
And I'm also performing in Los Angeles and New York in November.
Okay, right on. So you've got stuff coming up. What is it like to get back to it after like a year and a half off?
It's like the best kind of overwhelming. Like,
yeah.
I'm just like, I wake up every day like super early to start working, and I'm like, I'm tired, but I'm having so much fun. So like, I'm not going to say anything. Like, I'm just like so grateful. This past year really opens your eyes and it makes you grateful for these things. Like before, maybe you'd be like, oh, like, I don't want to, I'm tired. But now you're like, I'll do anything. Sign me up. Like, let's go.
Yeah. Just put me on stage already. It's gotta be like a little bit of a high as well, like getting back on stage, right?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean, I haven't like performed in front of a big crowd yet, but I think in 2 weeks, like in Montreal, I think it's gonna really hit me for sure.
Well, and I think for you especially, because I know that over the last like year and a half, you've done some pretty, you've grown as an artist and you've kind of hit a new level. So I think it might be a little bit surprising to hit the stage.
Oh, thank you.
All the fans.
I hope so.
Yeah. Talking about the last month and a half or a year and a half, anything, I've been asking a lot of artists this recently, because you've had, maybe more time to yourself than most artists would normally without touring. Any interesting hobbies you've picked up?
That's a good question. It's not really an interesting hobby. It's kind of like, I guess, I started producing a little bit. Like I've dived into that. I like watching documentaries.
Okay.
Of like the ocean.
Okay.
I don't know why, I love learning about the ocean. I always have. And I'm like sitting there watching Netflix and looking at like blue whales. And I'm like, this is fascinating. And just like all like a bunch of documentaries. I've been kind of diving into that. I tried to listen to podcasts, but something about me gets a little bored with that. I don't know why, but I'm trying to dive into that more. And I want to take up like sewing. I want to be able to sew, like, and make my own clothes eventually.
The fashion connection there.
Yeah, I've always, when I was younger, I had a sewing machine, and I remember cutting up the fabric how I needed to start sewing it, but I never did. But it's still literally in this box, and I was just I remember I made my sister a shirt for her birthday. It was so ugly, and like it probably wouldn't even fit her correctly. Like, I'm pretty sure the arms were like lopsided, but like I had a lot of fun, and I want to be able to properly learn how to make my own clothes and fashion design.
Next year, Fashion Week, you can wear your own designs.
Oh,
hey now.
That's the goal. Maybe one year.
There you have it. One last question before we wrap things up, and I want to let you go here. But growing up in Carmen, Manitoba, obviously such an interesting heritage, Moroccan heritage. What was it like being like growing up in Carmen, Manitoba, with Moroccan parents, but surrounded by Mennonites and everyone else that happens to live in that area? It
was a very special experience because as soon as I walked in my house, it was like I was in Morocco. Moroccan food, we're speaking
yeah.
Arabic, we're listening to Arabic music, like everything was fully Moroccan. The way I was raised was very Moroccan, like everything. And then you walk out the door and you get to experience a different culture, a different lifestyle. And it was just very, very cool. And lots of people were just so curious and just
Yeah, I bet.
very accepting and very curious. And they were so kind. Like Carmen has the sweetest people. And it was a very enjoyable time. Like nobody was weird or like,
Yeah.
nobody was just like, everyone was just very accepting. So it was a lot of fun.
Well, that is exactly what you want to hear. Is it interesting having people over, like friends over for supper?
It definitely was. I was always a little bit nervous because I'm like, are they gonna like this? Like this is very different from like the food here. And so I was always pleasantly surprised. They would always be like, this is delicious. Like, I love this. How do you make it? And I was always a little bit relieved because I'm like, okay, thank God. Like, if they didn't like this, I would be so heartbroken.
Yeah, you're sharing a huge part of yourself with people. That's really, well,
yeah.
It is, nice to hear, though, that it was an accepting place to live because, that can be a really scary place to be for sure.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Faouzia, for joining us and for taking the time.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Cool. Cheers.